Welcome back. The news in details. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took part on Monday in a conference to support the transitional period in Sudan and a summit on financing African economies in the French capital. Addressing the inaugural session of the Paris summit, President al-Sisi stressed Egypt's constant support to Sudan in achieving its stability and development. The president called on the international partners to boost the Sudanese efforts to get through its transitional period and overcome the repercussions of its economic crisis. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Rodi said that the president focused during the conference on the international community's solidarity for the support of Khartoum during this historic stage. During the African Economies Conference on Tuesday, the president will shed light on all files related to the integration of African economies into the global economy, especially during the coronavirus-drawn downturn and the transfer of technology to the African countries, as well as attracting foreign direct investments to the continent. Macron hosts African leaders, diplomats and lenders at a summit aimed at helping Sudan after years of unrest. Several heads of state gather in Paris to discuss investment in Sudan and negotiate its debt to help the government of Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok in the transition. The next day, a summit on African economies will try to fill a financing shortfall of almost $300 billion caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held summit talks with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris on Monday. The talks covered regional and international issues of mutual concern, as well as means of boosting bilateral relations. The two leaders also discussed the latest developments in the Palestinian territories and the latest escalation of aggression by the Israeli occupation forces. The talks also covered funding development projects in Africa, as well as efforts to combat terrorism. Upon his arrival in Paris, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with head of the Sudanese Transitional Sovereign Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Rodi said that President al-Sisi praised the strong and historic ties between the two nations. Rodi added that the president affirmed Egypt's commitment to support all steps taken by Sudan to achieve stability and development. Rodi noted that the meeting reviewed the latest files of mutual concern, including the situation on the Sudanese-Ethiopian borders, as well as the Ethiopian dam, as both sides stress on the ultimate importance given to the Nile water issue as a national security matter to both nations. Later in the day, President al-Sisi received Eric Trappe, the CEO of Dassault Aviation, the maker of the Rafale jet fighters. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry received phone calls on Monday from his Greek counterpart Nikos Dendias and Dutch Foreign Minister Stef Blok for talks on the Israeli aggression against the Palestinians. During the talks, the two ministers expressed appreciation to Egypt's diplomatic efforts to halt the aggression. Earlier, Shoukry received a phone call from U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the latest developments in the Palestinian territories. Blinken expressed appreciation for the ongoing Egyptian contacts with the two sides of the conflict to end the current escalation. The two ministers agreed on coordinating the Egyptian and American efforts to reach peace and stability in the region. Shoukry also held phone talks with Qatari Foreign Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al-Thani as part of coordinating efforts with many countries on the military confrontations in the Palestinian territories. The two sides agreed to work for an immediate ceasefire. Blinken also spoke by phone to officials in Qatar, Saudi Arabia and France. Upon directives by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, a number of lorries carrying Egyptian aid arrived at Rafah border crossing. Earlier, Egypt opened its Rafah border crossing with Gaza to allow ambulances to transport Palestinians seriously wounded in Israeli occupation airstrikes to Egyptian hospitals. A medical official reported the news, adding that Egypt opened the Rafah crossing to allow 10 Egyptian ambulances into the Gaza Strip to transport wounded Palestinians to be treated in Egypt. During a meeting headed by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Health Hala Zaid reviewed the aspects of her ministry's plan to support the injured Palestinians in Gaza Strip, which was set upon directives by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The minister said that evacuating the injured has achieved the Operations Center of the Central Room, North Sinai Operations Center and the Operations Center of the Egyptian Ambulance Authority. Zaid added that the regional blood bank in Arish was on high alert to supply all needs of blood groups to the injured. Israeli airstrikes hammered the Gaza Strip on Monday after a week of aggression by Israeli